Welcome to Monk's Moon Temple. Tonight, under this same silent moon that has witnessed countless comings and goings, we gather not in fear, but in sacred curiosity. We are here to explore the greatest mystery, the most universal transition, the subject that touches every heart yet often resides in unspoken silence. Find your comfort in this virtual sanctuary. Let the weight of your day settle like dust in still air. Allow your breath to find its own gentle, unhurried rhythm. In and out, like waves on a distant shore. For the next 3 hours, we will sit together with ancient wisdom. We will walk through timeless stories from the fields of Zen and the forests of Buddhist teaching. We will listen to parables spoken by masters and whispers from ordinary lives that discovered extraordinary peace. We will explore what lies beyond our final breath, not with trembling or despair, but with a deepening sense of understanding, reconciliation, and even reverence. Our path begins not at an end, but at a beginning, in this quiet mountain temple, where an old monk prepares to share not a conclusion, but an opening. A door in the heart that swings both ways, viewing life from the perspective of eternity, and eternity from the perspective of a single, precious life. Take a moment now. Feel the space around you. The air on your skin. The beat of your heart. This is your starting point. This aliveness, this presence, is the very ground from which we will contemplate its transformation. Let us begin. Part 1, The Nature of the Journey. What is death? The first story, the river and the ocean. In a secluded monastery nestled among mist-covered peaks, where the air itself tasted of pine and ancient stone, there lived a wise teacher named Sora. His eyes held the calm of deep lakes, and his movements were like wine through bamboo, graceful, unhurried, purposeful. One autumn evening, as leaves of gold and crimson performed their final, swirling dance in the cooling air, a young student named Kenji approached him. Kenji had been at the monastery for 3 years, diligent in his chores and meditation, but a question had weighed on his heart since childhood, growing heavier with each passing season. "Master Sora," he began, his voice trembling slightly despite his effort to steady it. He knelt on the worn tatami mat. "I must ask what I have been afraid to ask. What is death? Is it truly the end, a blank nothingness? Or is it something else, something we are not meant to understand?" Sora smiled gently, his eyes reflecting the soft, honeyed glow of the evening lanterns. He did not answer immediately. Instead, he watched a single leaf drift past the open shoji screen. "Come," he said finally, his voice a low rumble like distant thunder. He rose with a fluid motion and led Kenji down a winding stone path, moss softening its edges, to where a small, clear river emerged from the mountain's embrace and flowed toward the distant, unseen sea. The sound of water was a constant, soothing murmur. Fireflies began to pulse like tiny, wandering stars in the gathering dusk. "Watch the water," Sora said, pointing to a place where the current danced over smooth stones. "See how it moves. Constant, yet ever-changing. It begins as snow melt high in the frozen peaks, flows through sun-dappled valleys, nourishes sleeping villages, and continues its timeless journey toward the ocean. Tell me, Kenji, when this stream finally reaches the vast sea, does the river end?" Kenji watched, mesmerized, as the water swirled and merged into the greater darkness downstream. It becomes part of the ocean, he replied after a thoughtful pause. You can't see the river anymore. Its form is gone. Yes, Sora nodded, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder. The form changes, the river as we knew it, with these particular banks, this sound, this path, disappears. But the water itself, the essence, does not cease. It does not become nothing. It joins something immeasurably greater. Death is like this, my student. It is not an end of existence, but a transformation. A returning to a source from which we all came, and to which we all return. It is not a wall, but a merging. But why does it feel so final? Kenji asked, the fear still flickering in his eyes. Why does the mere thought of it clutch at my chest and bring such cold dread? If it's just a merging, why does it hurt so much to imagine? Sora bent down and picked up a perfect, dry oak leaf. He placed it gently on the water's surface. They watched it float, spinning slowly. We fear what we do not understand. We cling to the leaf, to this life, this body, this name, this story of me. And we forget that we are also the water. The leaf is temporary. It will eventually sink, dissolve, and become part of the river's journey, feeding the roots of future trees. But the essence, the water, flows on. Your fear is the leaf's fear, imagining itself separate from the stream. The Buddha taught that all conditioned things are anicca, impermanent. Birth and death are natural transitions, like the turning of seasons, like day following night. To truly understand death is to understand life, not as a fixed possession to be clutched, but as a flowing, changing, participatory experience. You are not just the leaf riding the surface. You are the water beneath, and the ocean ahead, and the cloud that will one day rain down to begin the cycle anew. The cloud that never dies. On a bright, piercingly blue morning a week later, another student, a young woman named May, pointed to a magnificent cumulus cloud drifting lazily across the zenith. Master, she asked, when the cloud disappears, where does it go? It's so solid, so present. And then, it's just gone. Is that death? Sora followed her gaze, squinting in the sunlight. Watch carefully, he said. They sat on a flat rock warmed by the sun. By afternoon, the cloud had dissipated, vanished from the blue slate. Now look, Sora said, directing her attention to the field below the monastery walls. Do you see the dew sparkling on the grass? The moisture in the air that softens your skin? The cloud has not died. It has simply changed form. It has become rain, mist, river, soil moisture, and will one day rise again as a cloud. We give the name, death, to the moment the form changes dramatically, but the essence, like water, is eternal, cycling endlessly. He picked up a handful of soil. You have been a cloud before. You have been rain. You have been a river. You will be a cloud again. There is no birth and death in the way we think, only endless transformation, a continuum of change without true annihilation. We name the stages, cloud, rain, river, ocean, for our own convenience, but the substance journeys on, wearing different costumes for different acts in the same play. This is the profound teaching of continuity. The form is the costume. The actor is the essence. The play is existence itself. When we grieve for the costume that has been lovingly set aside, forgetting the actor who remains, ready for the next role, or returning to the green room of pure being. The Echo in the Valley. A young, earnest monk named Leo traveled to a famous echoing valley deep in the mountains. Standing at the precipice, he shouted his name with all his might. Leo. The sound left his lips, and moments later, faithfully, Leo returned to him, softer, rounded by distance. He tried a prayer next. Peace be with you. And back it came, peace be with you, transformed, multiplied. He returned to his teacher, perplexed. When the sound leaves my mouth, it is gone. Is the echo its ghost? A memory the valley holds. The teacher, an old woman with eyes like smoked quartz, shook her head. No. The sound did not stay trapped in your mouth, nor did it die in the valley. It traveled. It touched the far wall of stone and returned, changed by the journey, softer, wider, but still carrying the intention of your voice. When a person dies, their voice, their love, their teaching, their kindness, their unique way of laughing, does not vanish. It travels. It touches the far walls of other hearts and returns in their actions, in their memories, in the way they live their lives. Death is not the silencing of the voice. It is the beginning of its true echo. And an echo, in the right valley, can last longer and travel farther than the original shout ever could. So, what is death? It is not a full stop. It is the moment the sound of a life leaves the lips and begins its journey across the vast canyon of time and relationship, returning again and again in forms we cannot always hear with our ears, but can sometimes feel in a sudden warmth in the chest, a sudden knowing what to do, a sudden memory that brings a smile. The love echoes. The lesson echoes. The essence echoes. The dancer and the dance. In a bustling village square during a harvest festival, a gifted dancer named Lila performed a story of spring's awakening. Her movements were so fluid, so utterly captivating, that the crowd was hypnotized. They saw only the dance, the sweep of her sleeves like blossoming branches, the leap that defied gravity like a bird taking flight. They forgot the dancer, they were immersed in the dance itself. When she finished with a final, spinning collapse into a bow, the spell broke. She rose, smiled shyly, and disappeared into the crowd. A little girl in the front, tears in her eyes, tugged her mother's sleeve. The dance is over. It's gone. I want it back. An elder, the girl's great-grandmother, her face a map of wrinkles, took the child's hand. Is it gone, little one? Close your eyes. Be very still. Can you see the red of her skirt spinning? Can you feel the leap in your own heart? The dancer has stopped, but the dance continues, right here, in your memory, in your feeling. And because you saw it, felt it, maybe tomorrow you will spin in your own kitchen. Maybe in 10 years, you will teach another the steps. The dance lives now in you. The body is the dancer. The life is the dance. One rests. The other is timeless. Death, then, is the dancer taking her final, gracious bow and stepping off the stage. But the dance, the unique, beautiful pattern of energy, expression, love, and experience, is woven into the fabric of all who witnessed it. It becomes part of the collective rhythm, the shared story. We remember the dance, not the sweat on the dancer's brow. We are moved by the spirit, not the temporary form that expressed it. The unlit candle. In the temple's main hall, a long line of candles burned on the altar. A novice was tasked with lighting new ones from the flame of an old candle that was guttering, about to go out. He hesitated, sad to see the old flame die. The master observed. "Light the new one," the master said softly. The novice touched the new wick to the old flame. A new, bright flame sprang to life. The old flame, at that same moment, vanished. "Where did the flame go?" the master asked. It's here, in the new candle," the novice said. "Is it the same flame?" "No, and yes. It's continuous." "Exactly," the master said. The flame was never in the old candle. It was expressed through it, using its wax. When the fuel was spent, the expression shifted. The lighting was not a transfer, but a continuation. Consciousness is this flame. The body is the candle. We mourn the spent candle, but the light was always free, always moving, always seeking to express itself. Death is simply the moment one candle is used up. The flame. It was never born, and so it never dies. Why humans fear death, the story of the clay bowl. In a small, vibrant village at the foot of the mountains, there once lived a potter named Haru. His hands were wise with clay, and his heart was in every piece he made. He was famous for his beautiful, delicate bowls, each one unique, glazed with colors stolen from twilight and fired in his roaring kiln until they sang when tapped. Haru loved his creations with a possessive, tender love. He gave them names. Morning mist, deep pool, first blossom. He spoke to them, polished them daily, and could not bear the thought of them ever chipping, let alone breaking. One day, a traveling monk, dusty from the road, visited his shop. Haru, with pride glowing on his face, showed the monk his finest bowl, a masterpiece so delicate it seemed to hold light, with a pattern like cherry blossoms caught in a spring breeze. "It is breathtaking," the monk said, his voice full of genuine awe. "A capture of impermanence itself in permanent form. But tell me, potter, what will you do when it breaks?" Haru's face fell as if struck. The joy drained from him. I do not let myself think of that," he stammered. "I protect it. I keep it safe on this high shelf. I handle it with prayers." The monk nodded slowly, compassion in his eyes. "And yet, no matter how carefully you guard it, one day it will break. A tremor in the earth, a careless elbow, the slow stress of time. Clay is fragile. It returns to the earth. This is its unchangeable nature." Haru grew deeply troubled. He looked from his perfect bowl to the monk's serene face. Then why, he whispered, pain in his voice. Why pour my soul into creating something so beautiful, if it is only meant to shatter? It makes the beauty seem like a cruel joke. Ah, said the monk, his gaze steady. You misunderstand. The beauty is not in the lasting. The beauty is in the being. The bowl exists now. In this moment, it holds rice and nourishes a body. It reflects the morning sun and delights an eye. It brings a moment of joy to a weary hand. Its impermanence does not diminish its value, it makes it infinitely precious. If it lasted forever, would you cherish it today? Or would you think, I can always enjoy it tomorrow? He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a murmur only Haru could hear. We fear death because we are exactly like you, dear Potter. We believe we are the bowl. Solid, separate, defined, permanent. We forget we are also the clay, the silent, eternal, shapeless essence that can be shaped into a bowl, fired, used, broken, and reshaped again into a tile, or ground back into dust to nurture a new vine. We fear the breaking because we are staring at the glazed surface and have forgotten the humble, immortal earth from which it came. The Buddha taught that upadana, attachment to form, is the root of suffering. We fear death because we are attached to this particular body, this specific identity, this compelling story of me. But we are not just the bowl. We are the clay, the earth, the potter's creative love, the hands that shaped it, the fire that hardened it, and the empty space within it that makes it useful. To fear death is to mistake the sculpture for the marble. The man who built a house of cards. There was once a meticulous man named Leo who spent his life, hour by careful hour, building a magnificent house of cards. Each card represented an achievement, a degree, a promotion, a purchased home. Another set represented relationships, a marriage, children, friendships. Yet another layer symbolized possessions, a car, art, trophies. He stacked them with infinite care, balancing, adjusting, proud of the towering, intricate structure that was his life's work. One afternoon, a playful breeze, innocent and unaware, blew through a window he'd left cracked. Leo watched in slow-motion horror as his house swayed, teetered, and with a sound like a sigh, collapsed into a scattered, meaningless pile on the table. He sank to his knees and wept bitter, gut-wrenching tears. All that work, all that meaning, gone. A monk visiting his neighbor heard the weeping and entered. Seeing the man and the cards, he understood. He sat beside Leo on the floor. "Why do you cry?" he asked gently. "Can't you see? It's destroyed. My life's work." "But you did not lose the cards," the monk said, picking one up. "See? The cards are still here, unharmed. You only lost their temporary arrangement. Your life is not the arrangement, it is the cards themselves, and more importantly, the hand that holds them, the mind that conceived the structure, the heart that found it beautiful. The arrangement was always meant to be temporary. The cards, your experiences, your capacities, are eternal. You can build a new house, or you can simply play a different game. We fear death because we mistake the fragile, temporary arrangement for the substance. We think we are the structure, not the builder and the building blocks. The collapse feels like annihilation, but it is merely a reorganization of what always was and always will be, consciousness playing with the cards of experience. The actor who forgot his role. In a famous, opulent theater, a talented actor played the role of a mighty king for decades. Night after night, he wore the heavy crown, spoke the majestic lines, and lived in the grandeur of the palace set. He was so convincing, so immersed, that the line between actor and role blurred, then vanished. He began to believe, in his heart, that he was the king. He carried the king's arrogance and benevolence into the street. He signed autographs with the king's name. When the final performance of the long-running play ended, the stage manager came to his dressing room. "Sir, the run is over. The theater is closing. It's time to take off your costume." The actor looked at him with utter terror. "Take off my costume? Without my crown, who am I? Without my throne, where will I go? Without my subjects' adoration, how will I know I exist? If I am not the king, I am nothing." This is the precise, aching root of our fear. We have played the role of me. This name, this body, this history, these personality traits, so well and for so long that we believe the costume is our skin, the script is our soul. Death feels like the director calling us off the stage of existence, demanding we remove a self we can no longer imagine being without. We fear the removal of the costume because we have forgotten, entirely, the actor who wears it, the aware, silent presence that was capable of playing any role at all. The child's sandcastle. At the sun-drenched beach, a child spent all day in devotional labor, building an elaborate sandcastle. There were towers with shell flags, deep moats that filled with incoming tide, bridges made of driftwood. It was a masterpiece of temporary architecture. As the tide began its inevitable advance, the child grew frantic. They dug trenches to divert the water, built emergency walls, tried with small, desperate hands to hold back the entire sea. An older sibling, who had been watching with a soft smile, sat down beside them in the wet sand. "You know the tide will take it, right? It always does." The child, tears cutting paths through sandy cheeks, said, "But I don't want it to go. I built it. It's mine. It's perfect." "I know," the sibling said, putting an arm around them. "And wasn't building it fun? Look how glorious it is right now, with the sun turning it gold. The tide isn't mean. It's not personal. It's just doing what tides do, cleaning, smoothing, making ready. Tomorrow, this whole beach will be smooth and perfect again, ready for a new castle, maybe an even more wonderful one." Our fear of death is the child's fear of the tide. We see the inevitable, natural approach and we panic. We build walls of medicine, legacy, religion, and belief, trying to hold back the vast, cleansing waves of nature. We mourn the coming loss of the castle without honoring the profound joy of its creation and the promise of the smooth, open, infinite sand that follows, the pure potential. The shadow on the wall. In a cave temple, a master used a lantern to cast puppet shadows on the wall for the novices. The shadows danced, fought, loved, and died. One novice became terribly distressed when the shadow of a wise man died in the story. "He's gone," the novice cried. The master raised the puppet. "Is he gone? Or was he never really on the wall to begin with? The wall is empty. The light is constant. The puppet is wood and cloth. The death was just me moving the puppet out of the light. Your fear is from believing the shadow was the real thing. Your true self is not the shadow. It is closer to the light that casts it, or the wall that receives it, or the awareness that watches it all. Fear arises from fundamental misidentification. We are afraid of the shadow's end because we think we are the shadow. We are not. We are the light source, the consciousness. And light cannot be killed. How to remove the fear of death, the tale of the nightingale song. In a bamboo grove so dense it turned daylight into a green, dappled dream, there lived a nightingale whose song was said to be the most beautiful in all the islands. It was not mere melody, it was a liquid silver thread that stitched the twilight together, a sound that seemed to heal hidden cracks in the soul. People traveled from distant provinces, leaving offerings of rice and fruit, just to sit in silence and hear her sing at the magical hour of dusk. Among them was Toshiro, a wealthy merchant whose life was measured in ledgers and deals. He heard the nightingale one evening, and something frozen in him melted. He felt a longing so sharp it was pain. He needed to possess that song, to own that beauty, to have it as a fixture in his life of acquisitions. He ordered his servants to capture the bird with nets of softest silk. They placed her in a magnificent cage of filigreed gold, with perches of jade and a feeder of crystal. It sat in the place of honor in his grand home. Now, he thought, rubbing his hands with satisfaction, I can hear her song whenever I wish. It will be mine forever. But from the moment the bamboo gate clicked shut, the nightingale fell silent. She sat on her jade perch, a puff of feathered despair, looking toward the window. Days passed, then weeks. Not a single note. The cage was a museum of silence. Desperate, confused, Toshiro went to the old abbot of the temple near the grove. Venerable one, why does she not sing? I give her everything, the cleanest water, the finest seeds, a cage worth a king's ransom. The abbot smiled, but his eyes held a gentle, bottomless sadness. She does not sing because she is no longer free. You have given her everything except the one thing she needs, the open sky, the whispering wind in the bamboo, the choice to stay or go, the natural rhythm of dusk and dawn that calls the song from her not as a performance, but as an offering. You see, her song was never hers to keep or give. It was a gift she offered freely when she felt connected to life itself, part of the great, breathing whole. You have caged a body, but the song belongs to the wind. Toshiro, a clever man, understood immediately the truth in the metaphor. He returned home, his heart heavy with shame. He opened the gilded door. For a long moment, the nightingale did not move. Then, with a flash of brown and a beat of wings so quiet he almost missed it, she was gone, a dart toward the distant green. That evening, Toshiro walked to the grove. He stood hidden. And as the sun bled into the horizon, the song returned. More beautiful than ever, a cascading flow of notes that seemed to float on the twilight breeze, belonging to no one and everyone. He wept, but they were tears of release, not loss. We fear death when we believe we are in a cage, trapped in a body, a timeline, a single story called My Life. We think we are the prisoner. But when we remember our true nature, when we live in connection, in awareness, in the boundless freedom of spirit, the fear begins to dissolve. The song of the soul is not meant to be caged, owned, or preserved. It is meant to be given, shared, and released into the great wide air of existence. Clinging to life is the cage. Letting go is the open sky. The Buddha taught that liberation, nibbana, comes when we release clinging. When we stop clutching at life, desperately trying to make it permanent, we start truly living it, fully, freely, vulnerably, without the underlying terror of the moment it will end. The end is not the opposite of life, it is its completion. The monk and the candle flame. In the main hall of the Cloud Hand Temple at dusk, a novice monk named Ben sat watching a single candle flame. It was his meditation object. But as the wax pooled and the wick grew shorter, anxiety crept in. He found himself leaning forward, chest tight, fearing the moment the flame would sputter and go out. The darkness felt threatening. The master, passing by, saw his rigid posture. "What troubles you, Ben?" "The flame is dying, master." "Look. Soon it will be gone. Into nothing." The master said nothing. He picked up a fresh, unlit candle from the shelf. He held its wick to the dying flame. There was a momentary hesitation, then the fire leaped from the old wick to the new. A fresh, bright, steady flame sprang to life. The old flame vanished. "Where did the flame go?" the master asked. Ben stared. It's there. On the new candle." "Is it the same flame?" "It's continuous. The new flame was born from the old." "Yes. It transferred. Its light continues. Your consciousness, Ben, is like this flame. It does not die, it transfers, transforms, continues. Fear arises when you think you are the wax, the temporary fuel, the particular holder of the light. But you are the fire. The body is the wax. The mind is the wick. The light itself, awareness, consciousness, the knowing quality, is the flame. It is not subject to the melting. It only seeks a new expression, or returns, satisfied, to the great, formless fire from which all individual sparks arise. To remove fear, remember you are the flame, not the candle. You are not the temporary, combustible form. You are the luminous, indestructible principle of awareness that illuminates the form. The flame is never afraid of the candle going out, it simply is. The lighthouse keeper. On a wild, storm-lashed coast stood a solitary lighthouse. Its keeper, a man named Eli, had weathered every gale for 40 years. Sailors, safe in port, would ask him, "Aren't you terrified, alone up there with the wind shaking the very stones, waves crashing like mountains against the cliff?" Eli would simply point upward to the great, rotating beam cutting through the furious dark. I used to be afraid of the storm, he'd say. I'd listen to its roar and feel very small, very fragile. Then I realized my job is not to stop the storm. I cannot. My job is to tend the light. The waves crash, the wind screams, the tower shudders, but the light turns. My attention, my care, my whole being is on keeping that light bright and steady. When I focus completely on the light, the storm becomes just weather. Background noise. Fear of death is like being afraid of the ultimate storm. It is vast, noisy, impersonal, and powerful. But we have a light within, the light of pure awareness, of mindful presence, of our essential, undying nature. When we fix our attention on tending that inner light, on keeping it bright with compassion, steady with wisdom, the outer storm of mortality, though it may rage around us, loses its power to terrify. We cannot control the storm of the body's end, but we can always turn our inner gaze to the light. And in that light, we see clearly, the storm is temporary. The light is what we are. The archer's release. A master archer was teaching his final student. The student had mastered the form, the stance, the draw, the aim. He could pull the bowstring taut and hold it perfectly still, his eye aligned with the distant target. But he always hesitated at the release. His arrows would wobble, veer off, and thud into the earth. I am afraid, the student finally confessed, his head bowed. Afraid that once I let go of the string, I have no control. What if the wind shifts? What if my aim was wrong? What if it misses? The release feels like a leap into an abyss. The master nodded. The archer's power is not in holding the string. The power is in the release. The arrow's flight belongs to the arrow, to the wind, and to the target. Your part was the preparation, the aim, the creation of tension, and then, the clean, fearless release. Clutching the string ruins the shot. It introduces doubt into the arrow's path. The master drew his own bow, smooth as pouring water. He aimed, and in one fluid, unhesitating motion, released. The arrow sang through the air and struck the center with a satisfying thwack. Life, he said, is the drawing of the bow. Death is the release of the arrow. Fear comes from wanting to clutch the string forever, to never complete the shot, to stay in the tense, controlled moment of aiming. But an arrow unshot is a tragedy. A life unreleased is a weight on the soul. Remove the fear by practicing clean release in every small moment of your life. Let go of outcomes, of grudges, of the need to control. Release your expectations each evening. Release your attachment to praise and blame. Then, when the final release comes, it will feel not like a terrifying fall, but like the natural, graceful, perfect completion of your aim. The sailor and the shore. An old sailor, after a lifetime at sea, developed a terror of drowning. He dreamed of the water closing over him. He stayed on land, miserable, watching the ships go out. A friend, another old salt, found him staring at the harbor. "You're afraid of the sea claiming you?" the friend asked. "Yes. It's a dark, cold end. The friend pointed to the waves. You've spent your life on that. Did it ever occur to you that you're not a man on the water, but that you are the water? A temporary wave that thinks it's separate from the ocean. Drowning isn't a wave being destroyed by the ocean, it's a wave realizing it is the ocean. The fear is the wave's fear. The truth is its homecoming. The practice is to feel your oceanic nature now. In deep meditation, feel the boundaries of your body soften. Feel yourself as part of the great tide of being. Then the end of the wave is not an end, but a relaxing back into your true, vast self. How to prepare for death, the lesson of the traveler's pack. On the long, dusty road to the distant Blue Mountain Monastery, a young seeker named Aiko trudged, bent under a pack of impossible size. Inside were not clothes or food, but stones, smooth river stones, jagged mountain stones, each carefully wrapped in cloth. One stone was a betrayal by a beloved friend. Another was the grief of her mother's passing. A third was the shame of a public failure. Another was the fear of being unlovable. Yet another was clinging to a past joy so bright she couldn't bear its passing. Each regret, each grudge, each attachment, each unhealed wound was a stone. The pack grew heavier with each mile, digging into her shoulders, but Aiko believed she needed these stones. They were her history, her identity, her proof of having lived and felt deeply. One afternoon, under a searing sun, she collapsed by the side of the road, sobbing from exhaustion. An elderly pilgrim, sitting in the cool shade of a massive pine, watched her. His face was a landscape of kindness. "Child," he said, his voice like dry leaves rustling, "why do you carry such a burden? The road is hard enough without adding the weight of mountains to your back." Aiko wiped her face, smearing dust. "These are my life," she said defiantly, patting the bulging pack. "My joys, my sorrows. My battles. I cannot abandon them. They are who I am." The pilgrim said nothing. He simply opened his own small, worn leather bag. Inside were only 3 things: a wooden cup for water, a simple bowl for food, and a neatly folded, patched robe. "I too have walked many miles," he said. "I have known the heights of joy and the depths of sorrow. But I do not carry them as stones. I carry them as lessons, light as a breath, stored not on my back, but woven into the fabric of my understanding. They are not a weight, they are wisdom." He moved slowly, with a slight limp, and helped Aiko remove her monstrous pack. The relief of its absence was so immediate she almost cried again. Together, they sat and began to unwrap the stones. The betrayal stone was cold and gray. The grief stone was heavy and dark. The shame stone was rough and sharp. One by one, the pilgrim asked, "Does this stone help you walk forward on your path today? Does it nourish your spirit? Does it serve your peace, right now?" Most did not. They were anchors to a shore she had long left. With the pilgrim's gentle encouragement, Aiko began to leave them by the side of the path, not with anger, but with a quiet, "Thank you and goodbye." The betrayal stone was left under the pine. The shame stone was placed by a clear stream. With each stone left behind, her pack grew lighter. Her back straightened. Her steps, when they resumed, had a new spring. By the time the monastery's blue-tiled roof appeared in the distance, she carried only a small, light pouch with a cup, a bowl, and a single, smooth stone of gratitude she had found along the way. At the gate, the pilgrim turned to her. "Preparing for death," he said, his eyes holding the last of the sunset, "is not about storing treasures or building monuments to a past self. It is about traveling light. It is about forgiving what hurts, releasing what burdens, offering gratitude for what remains, and leaving the path clear behind you. When your pack is light, your heart is open, and your hands are empty, you are ready to cross any bridge, even the last one, with grace and even welcome." The Buddha taught mindful living as the direct preparation for mindful dying. Each day is practice. Each act of forgiveness is a stone removed. Each moment of gratitude adds lightness. Each release of a grudge is a step taken freely. We prepare for the great letting go by learning to let go of the small things, now, a little each day. The farmer and the winter field. An old farmer, Kaito, was renowned throughout the valley for his lush, abundant fields. When autumn's brilliance faded, his neighbors watched in confusion as he did something shocking. He methodically cut down all his remaining crops, even the healthy ones, and plowed the stalks under. He left the field bare, exposed, seemingly dead under the cold sky. "Kaito," they called from the fence line. "Why do you strip the field? It looks dead. It's a shame to waste what's still green." Kaito leaned on his hoe, his breath making clouds in the air. "The field is not dead," he said patiently. "It is preparing. I remove the old stalks so the soil can rest, so frost can break up the clods, so worms can do their quiet work. If I cling to the old plants, sentimental for their green, new life cannot come in the spring. The field must be empty to receive new seeds. Preparing for death is like preparing the winter field. We clear what is finished to make space for what is to come. We till the soil of our hearts by releasing finished stories, completed relationships, past identities that have served their purpose. We let the frost of solitude break up the hard clods of ego. Then, when the season turns, we are soft, open, fertile, and ready for whatever is sown next. Each conscious act of letting go, each acceptance of an ending, is like clearing the field of your soul. We don't prepare for death by hoarding the last harvest in a barn until it rots, but by ensuring the soil of our being is rich, receptive, and at peace with the cycle of fallow and fruitful. The letter burner. A woman named Maya kept a heavy, iron-banded chest at the foot of her bed. Inside, locked, were bundles of old letters. Angry letters from bitter fights. Pleading letters from a past self begging for love. Sad letters announcing losses. Letters of grievance she had written but never sent. The chest was her secret museum of pain. A close friend, who worked as a hospice caregiver, visited one day and noticed Maya always glancing at the chest with a look of tired dread. "What's in there, Maya?" she asked gently. "My pain," Maya answered flatly. "The proof of it. Do you read them?" "No. I couldn't bear to. But they are mine. They happened." Her friend was silent for a long moment. What if, she said softly, preparing for your own ending meant not carrying this particular weight to the threshold? You don't have to read them. You don't have to relive the pain. You can simply acknowledge that they were written, that the feelings were real, and then let the paper go. The events remain in your history. The pain can be released from your present. The idea took root. That evening, Maya built a small, respectful fire in her backyard fireplace. One by one, without unfolding them, she dropped the bundled letters into the flames. She didn't forget the events, but she released her grip on the physical, treasured testament of the hurt. She watched the smoke carry the inked words up into the darkening sky. As the last ember faded to ash, she felt not emptiness, but space. A profound, clean lightness in her chest. She had prepared a little for her ending by creating room in her heart that was no longer a locked, guarded archive of old suffering. The past was compost, not a chain. Preparation is this conscious, gentle, courageous unbinding of ourselves from the anchors of past suffering. It is burning the old maps to places you no longer need, or want, to visit. The Daily Feast. In a village famed for its grand, annual harvest feast, there lived a man named Joseph. He saved everything for that one day. His finest china stayed wrapped in linen. His richest spices were sealed in jars. The best cuts of meat were salted and stored. The rest of the year, he ate plain, unseasoned gruel from a chipped wooden bowl. The feast is my celebration, he'd say. The rest is just waiting. One year, the day before the feast, Joseph fell violently ill. He lay in bed, weak and feverish, listening to the laughter and music from the square. He wept bitter tears. I saved everything for nothing. I missed it all. His neighbor, a gentle grandmother named Anya, heard his crying. She came to his home, not with grand dishes, but with a simple, beautiful meal on her everyday plates, a fragrant broth, fresh herbs, warm bread. She set it before him. I prepare for my final feast, she said, as he ate with tears still in his eyes, by having a small, mindful feast every single day. I use my good plates now. I savor my spices today. I share my best stories this afternoon. If the big, final feast comes, it will be glorious because I am practiced in joy. If it doesn't come as I expect, I have not missed the glory of living well. I have already feasted, thousands of times. To prepare for death is to live so completely, so lovingly now, that no moment of beauty, no expression of love, no act of kindness is saved for a future that may not come in the form we imagine. It is to use the good china of your heart today. To speak the tender words now. To forgive the old debt this afternoon. To watch the sunset as if it were the only one. Then, whenever the final, silent guest arrives, you can look up from a life already rich with feasting and say, I have already dined well. Welcome. Let's see what's next. The Mended Net. An old fisherman, every evening without fail, would sit on his dock and mend his nets. His grandson asked, Grandfather, why do you mend them every night? They won't break tomorrow. The old man pulled a thread tight. The sea does not tell you when the big fish will come, or when the storm will rise. The strong net is not for the calm day, it is for the day of trial. If I wait until the big fish is in my net to mend the tear, it will be too late. He will swim away, and I will have nothing. Mending the net is not about the tear that was, it's about the catch that might be. Preparing for death is like this. You mend your relationships, your conscience, your inner peace daily, in the calm waters. You don't wait for the crisis to try to fix things. When the great transition comes, your net, your spirit, is strong, whole, and ready to hold whatever comes next without breaking. The mending is the preparation. Why we don't want to leave the world, the story of the Lantern Festival. In a secluded valley village, every autumn when the moon was fullest, the people held the Lantern Festival. It was the highlight of the year. They would spend days crafting delicate paper lanterns, then write their deepest wishes, prayers for the departed, and secret hopes on the thin rice paper. At twilight, they would gather by the river, light the small candles inside, and release them onto the gentle current. The sight was magical, hundreds of soft, bobbing lights floating into the dusk, climbing as the heated air lifted them, until they looked like a constellation of earth-born stars returning home. A little girl named Yumi loved the festival more than anything in her world. One year, her lantern was especially beautiful, painted with a silver heron. When the time came, she lit the candle, her face glowing in its light, and placed it on the water. It caught the current, began to drift. And then, a pang of unbearable loss hit her. She grabbed the string still tied to its frame. "No," she cried, pulling it back. "It's too beautiful. I don't want it to leave. I want to keep it." Her grandfather, a man with hands like gnarled roots and eyes full of quiet light, knelt beside her in the damp grass. "Yumi," he said, his voice as soft as the lantern light. "Look." He pointed to the dozens of other lanterns already floating freely, merging into a glowing community on the water, beginning their luminous ascent. The beauty of the lantern is not in keeping it tied to your hand. If you do that, its light stays small, just for you. Its beauty is in watching it rise, join the others, and become part of something vast and magnificent, the night sky itself. If you hold it too tightly, it will never fulfill its purpose. Its candle will burn down trapped here, and its light will fade unseen. Its purpose is to travel, to add its small light to the great dark. Yumi looked from her trapped, lonely lantern to the glorious, liberated fleet. Her small hand trembled. Slowly, finger by reluctant finger, she opened her fist. The string slipped free. Her lantern wobbled, then caught the breeze. It drifted, then lifted, joining the ascending river of light. Through her tears, a smile broke like dawn. It was even more beautiful this way, not hers, but everyone's. Not held, but given. We don't want to leave the world because it is achingly beautiful. Because of love that feels like roots in our hearts. Because of connections that feel like lifelines. Because of lanterns still glowing in our hands, projects unfinished, sunrises unseen. This is natural. This is human, not a flaw. The Buddha never asked us to reject life's beauty or our love for it. He asked us to appreciate it without clutching, to love without possessing, to cherish without claiming ownership. Our reluctance to die is a testament to how deeply, how passionately we can engage with this life. And that very love, when purified of fear and attachment, becomes the light we leave behind, not a lantern held tight, but one released to illuminate the darkness for others. The painter and his masterpiece. A painter named Hiro was granted permission to paint a single mural on the interior wall of a forgotten temple. He accepted it as his life's work. For 50 years, he worked every day, from first light to last. The mural grew to depict an entire world, snow-capped mountains in the distance, a winding river, forests, villages with countless tiny figures living, loving, working, dancing. It was a universe in pigment. The day he placed the final stroke, a tiny bird in a far-off tree. He stepped back, put down his brush, and wept uncontrollably. A monk who had watched him age in that hall approached. "Hiro-san, why do you weep? It is a masterpiece. You have given the world a magnificent gift." Hiro could barely speak. "Because, now I must leave it. I have poured my soul, my every breath, my entire life into this world on the wall. I know every figure's story. I have lived in this painted land more than the real one. And I do not want to go. Leaving it feels like dying twice." The monk touched the wall gently, his fingers tracing a painted mountain ridge. "But you are not leaving it," he said. "You are becoming part of it. Every viewer for centuries to come will stand here and feel your presence in these brushstrokes, your attention in these details, your love in this harmony. You are not exiting the painting. You are moving from being the brush to being part of the canvas. Your hand will stop, but your vision will now live in the eyes of all who see. The reluctance you feel is the brush's love for the paint. But the painting's completion, its independence, requires the brush to be set down. Your masterpiece is not the mural. Your masterpiece is that you made something so alive that your leaving is felt as a loss. That is the sign of true creation. We are part of the beauty we love. We do not leave it, we join it in a deeper, more permanent way. As inspiration woven into the cultural fabric, as memory in loved ones' minds, as part of the landscape of shared human experience. We move from actor to legacy, from singer to song. The gardener's last rose. An elderly gardener, Mr. Tanaka, tended a single, ancient rose bush with devotional care. One crisp autumn morning, the most perfect rose of his long life unfurled. It was a deep, velvety crimson, each petal flawless, the scent intoxicating. He pulled a stool beside it and sat all day, watching the light change on its curves, breathing in its perfume, saying nothing. His young assistant, bringing tea, gasped. "It's perfect, Tanaka-san. The pinnacle. Shall we cut it? We can put it in the finest vase in the house, where you can see it always." Mr. Tanaka shook his head slowly, never taking his eyes off the bloom. "No. If I cut it, I remove it from its life. It will wilt in a day, and I will have its corpse in water. If I leave it on the bush, it will live its full, natural life. The petals will fall, yes. But they will fall here, on the soil that feeds the very roots that will make next year's roses. My job was to help it be this beautiful. My joy was to witness it. My peace is to let it complete its cycle exactly where it belongs, connected, part of the whole. Our desire to stay, to persist, is often the desire to cut the rose and put it in a vase, to preserve a perfect moment, frozen outside of time. But life is not the single, perfect bloom. Life is the bush, the cycle of bud, bloom, decay, and rebirth. Our true belonging is to the cycle, not to the preservation of one exquisite, transient stage of it. The deepest love is in the tending, the nurturing, the witnessing, not in the possessing. To love the rose is to love its nature, which includes its fading. The unfinished symphony. A composer worked for decades on his great symphony. He wanted it to be perfect, to express the inexpressible. He wrote, revised, tore up pages, started again. On his deathbed, the score lay unfinished on his piano. His student wept. "Master, your great work, it's incomplete. The world will never hear it." The composer, frail, pointed to the window where a bird was singing an intricate, spontaneous song. That melody, is it incomplete because it will end? Is the sunset incomplete because night follows? My symphony is not the notes on the page. My symphony was the desire to create beauty, the years of listening, the joy of a perfect chord. That is complete. The notes were just the attempt to point to it. Let the last measure be a rest. A long, peaceful rest. That can be the most beautiful note of all. Our attachment to unfinished business is often an attachment to the score, not the music. The music of our life, the love felt, the growth experienced, is already complete, even if the planned project is not. The final rest is part of the composition. The weathered bell. In the temple courtyard hung an ancient bronze bell, its surface green with patina, its tone deep and soulful. It was struck at dawn and dusk for centuries. A new, shiny bell was gifted to the temple, and someone suggested replacing the old one. "It's worn," they said. "Its sound is not as bright." The master said, "Ring the new bell." It made a clear, sharp, shallow clang. "Now ring the old one." The striker touched the weathered bronze, and a sound emerged that seemed to come from the earth itself, a complex, layered tone that vibrated in the chest and hung in the air long after. "The old bell is not diminished," the master said. "It is deepened. Every strike, every storm, every year has worn away the superficial shine to reveal its true, resonant voice. A life fully lived, with all its weathering, is like this. We fear leaving because we think we are losing our shine. But what is being revealed is our true tone, one that has absorbed joy and sorrow, sun and rain, to become something that resonates with the depth of existence itself. The wearing away is not destruction, it is the making of a voice that can speak to eternity. We cling to a false idea of perfection, the shiny, untouched bell. But the beauty and completion are in the weathering, in the unique, deep tone forged by time. Death is the final strike that lets that full, rich note sound out into the universe. How to understand death, the weaver's final thread. High in the Nepalese hills, in a sunlit workshop that smelled of wool and dye, the master weaver Anjali sat at her loom, her hands still swift and sure despite their age. Her old friend Raj, once a vibrant trader, now frail and wrapped in a shawl, had come to her. He was not in physical pain, but his spirit was restless. He was afraid. Not of suffering, but of meaninglessness. Anjali, he said, his voice thin. Have I woven my tapestry well? Look at my life, so many threads, some bright, some dark, some tangled. What if it is incomplete? What if the pattern is nonsense? Anjali smiled, the lines around her eyes deepening. She took his trembling hand and placed it on a nearly finished tapestry on her loom. Feel this, she said, guiding his fingers over the textured surface. Every thread you feel is a moment you lived. The coarse, dark threads here, they are not mistakes. They are contrast. They are depth. They are the resilience you built through hardship. See these brilliant gold threads? They are joy, love, moments of insight that lit up your world. But look here, she pointed to the very edge, where the colorful weaving stopped and the bare warped threads lay exposed. This is not the end of the tapestry. It is simply where your hand stops. This is where you lay down the shuttle. She rose slowly and brought another cloth, an old ceremonial shawl. This was woven by my grandmother. Her hands stopped weaving over 60 years ago. But look, she held the shawl next to her new work. Do you see this border pattern? The diamond shape? The specific red? Her patterns appear in my work. Her colors live in mine. Her love of symmetry guides my hand. The tapestry never truly ends, Raj. It transforms. Your thread stops, but the pattern continues. In the lives you touched, the kindness you showed, the lessons you shared. Your thread becomes part of the border of someone else's cloth. Understanding death is understanding that we are participatory threads in a vast, endless weaving called existence. Our individual strand has a definite beginning and an ending on the loom of a single lifetime, but the cloth continues, growing larger and more complex. Our life is not a finished, framed product to be judged. It is a contribution, a unique color or texture added to an ongoing, collective creation of unimaginable beauty. The Buddha taught paticca samuppada, dependent origination. Nothing exists in isolation. Every thread supports and is supported by others. Our death is not a full stop, a cutting of the cloth from the loom. It is more like a comma, a pause in one sentence of a story that is being told by life itself across generations. The weaver changes, but the weaving continues. The story of the broken vase. A devoted student, in his hurry to clean his master's study, accidentally swept a priceless antique vase from its stand. It hit the stone floor and shattered into a dozen pieces. Horrified, he gathered every shard with tears streaming down his face. He brought them, cradled in his robe, to the master. Master, forgive me. I have destroyed it. It is gone forever. The master looked at the broken pieces, then at the boy's anguished face. He said nothing. He took a large tray of dark sand and poured it smooth. Then, one by one, he began to place the shards into the sand, arranging them not as they once were, but in a new, deliberate pattern, a radiating sun, a flower, an abstract landscape. "Look," he said when he was done. "The vase as you knew it, as a vessel for holding water, is gone. But now it is something else, a mosaic, a new arrangement of the same clay and glaze. It can now hold light and shadow, pattern and meaning. Death is like this. The familiar form, the body, the personality, shatters. But the pieces, the essence, the experiences, the love, rearrange into a new belonging. They become part of the floor of collective memory, or are ground down to become glaze for a new pot. The clay does not mourn its old shape. It is inherently neutral, infinitely reusable, perpetually creative. It simply becomes ready for a new form. To understand death is to see beyond the singular, cherished form to the endless potential of the fundamental material. We are not the vase. We are the clay, silent, potent, and capable of infinite expression across time. The breaking is not an end of the material, it is the beginning of its next artistic possibility. The map and the territory. A royal cartographer spent his entire life creating the definitive, perfect map of his island kingdom. He walked every trail, measured every stream, charted every contour of every hill. He came to know the map, the symbols, the lines, the careful script, better than the territory itself. He loved its precision, its order. On his deathbed, his apprentices brought the great map, unrolled it by his bedside. He looked at the familiar lines, the places marked, "Here be dragons," at the edges. He sighed, a sound of profound relief. "I am going," he whispered, "to a place not on this map." One young apprentice panicked. "Then you are lost, master. You are going into the unknown." The old cartographer smiled, a flicker of his old brilliance. "No, my boy. I am finally going to the territory the map was only ever pointing to. I spent my life studying the symbol. Now I get to experience the real thing. Do not grieve. And do not, ever, confuse the map for the journey, or the biography for the life. Understanding death is realizing that life as we experience it, with its names, stories, identities, is the map. It is a useful, beautiful, but ultimately limited representation. Death is the step off the paper, beyond the edge of the chart, into the actual, unimaginably vast and real territory it was trying to represent. We fear leaving the map because it's all we've known, but the territory is our true, original home. The map is not wrong, it's just not the land. The library and the book. Imagine consciousness as a great, infinite library. Each life is a book written from a unique perspective. You are currently reading one book very intently, the story of you. You love the characters, the plot twists, the setting. You are absorbed. Death is finishing that book. Closing the cover. The story within that binding is complete. But you are not the book. You are the reader. The reader closes one book, feels a moment of poignant satisfaction, or perhaps a desire for a sequel, and then looks up at the endless shelves. There are more books to read. Or perhaps the reader decides to write a new one. Or maybe the reader simply rests in the silent, knowing space of the library itself, which contains all stories but is defined by none. We fear the end because we think we are the character dying in the last chapter. But we are the awareness that has been following the narrative. The story ends. The reader continues. What is the death journey? The ferryman's wisdom. In the myths and folktales of countless cultures, there is a recurring figure, the ferryman. The silent guide who pulls the boat across the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead. In our story, the ferryman is not a mythical phantom, but an old monk named Lao, who lived in a simple hut by a wide, slow-moving, silvery river. For 50 years, he had helped travelers, merchants, pilgrims, families, cross the river at the safe ford. His boat was sturdy, his hands were sure, his presence was calm. One day, villagers brought a dying man to the riverbank. The man was pale, breathing shallowly, but his eyes were wide with fear. He looked at Lao. What is on the other side? Will it hurt? Will I be alone? Lao helped the man lie down on cushions in the boat with a tenderness one would show a child. He untied the rope and pushed off, the pole sinking into the deep, soft mud. The journey itself is peaceful, Lao said, his voice rhythmic with the motion of the pole. The water supports you. The boat carries you. Your only task is to rest. To breathe. You are not alone. Look, everyone makes this crossing. The water has carried countless souls. It knows the way. And the other side is not so different from this one. It is simply the continuation of the journey, in a form your eyes do not yet know how to see. As they reached the middle of the river, the current gentle, the man turned his head with effort. He looked back at the receding shore. He saw his daughter waving, her figure small. He saw the willow tree he used to sit under. Tears welled up, but then a strange calm washed over him, deeper than the river. He was between worlds, no longer firmly here, not yet there. And in that in-between space, suspended on the quiet water, he felt a profound peace he had never known in his busy, anchored life. The attachment seemed to loosen, not by force, but by gentle distance. "Thank you," he whispered to Lao, his face relaxed. "I am ready." Lao nodded. "The shore is welcoming you. The death journey is not a punishment, a terrifying leap, or a rupture. It is a natural transition, guided by the same universal laws that guide a seed to sprout, a day to turn to night, a breath to be released. In Zen, it is often said, death is just taking off a tight shoe. The journey may be into the unknown, but it is not unnatural. It is part of the river's eternal flow, and there is a boat, and there is a ferryman, which you might call grace, or natural law, or the deep wisdom of the body itself. The journey is a returning to the current from which we temporarily emerged as an individual eddy or wave. The sleeping and the waking. A young mother was trying to explain the death of a pet to her 4-year-old son. The boy asked, "Will it be like going to sleep?" The mother thought carefully. She wanted to be honest but not frightening. "Have you ever had a dream," she asked, "so real that you completely forgot you were sleeping? Maybe you were flying, or eating a mountain of candy, or talking with a giant friendly bear. And then, you woke up in your own bed, safe and cozy, and the dream was over." The boy nodded, eyes wide. "And when you woke up, were you sad the dream was over? Or were you just awake and ready for the new day?" "Just awake," he said. "I think death is like that waking up," the mother said softly. "You leave one kind of dream, the dream of being just a body, in just one place and time, to enter a much wider, brighter kind of being awake. The journey is simply the moment between sleeping and waking. It might feel strange for a second, disorienting, but then, light. Clarity. A remembering of who you really, truly are, beyond the dream. The passage is gentle for those who do not resist it. The struggle, the fear, comes from clutching the dream, from believing the dream world is the only reality, from being afraid of the alarm clock. But the wake-up call is not an enemy, it is a liberation from the confines of the dream. The gatekeeper's riddle. At the entrance to a mythical city of wisdom stood an ageless gatekeeper. Travelers from all lands would arrive and ask, "What is it like inside the city? Is it beautiful? Is it frightening?" The gatekeeper always gave the same riddle in reply, "It is like the outside, but you see it with different eyes." No one understood. They would enter and report back, "It looked like an ordinary city, just with kinder people and cleaner streets." A great sage, after a life of contemplation, approached his own death. He felt a presence, a figure of warm, radiant light, who asked gently, "Are you ready to enter?" The sage remembered the old riddle. He did not ask, "What is it like?" Instead, he smiled and said, "I am ready to see with different eyes." The figure of light seemed to bloom with joy. That, it said, is the only requirement. The journey you think is ahead of you is not a travel to a new place. It is a transformation of perception. You are not going somewhere else. You are learning to see here, this moment, this reality, truly, for the first time, without the filter of separation. The boat, the river, the far shore, they are all metaphors for this shift in seeing. You are not crossing a river of space, but a river of illusion. The death journey, then, is ultimately an inner journey. It is the dissolution of the lens of I, me, mine, and the awakening to the view of unity, of interconnected being. The journey happens in consciousness, not in geography. The sunset and the horizon. A child on a beach watched the sun sink into the sea. "Where does it go?" she asked. "It goes beyond the horizon," her father said. "But we can't see beyond the horizon." "No. But we know it's there. And we know the sun is still shining, somewhere. And we know it will rise again, for someone else, on another shore. Your sight ends at the horizon. The sun's journey does not. Death is your personal horizon. Your vision of me ends there. But the light continues its journey. You just can't follow it with the eyes of the body. You must trust that the horizon is a limit of your sight, not a limit of existence. The journey is the sun's passage below the horizon. It is not extinction, it is movement into a realm our earthly senses cannot perceive. But other senses, perhaps long dormant, may awaken to perceive it. How to keep calm without fear and tears, the still pond meditation. At the Mountain Cloud Monastery, there was a specific, cherished practice taught to those facing their own mortality or those drowning in grief for another. The master would take them, often at the fragile hour of dawn, to a secluded, perfectly still pond, so mirror-like it seemed to be a piece of the sky fallen to earth. "Look into the water," the master would say, his voice barely a whisper. "See the perfect reflection of the sky, the upside-down trees, your own face looking back. Notice the profound stillness." Then he would pick up a small, smooth pebble. "Now watch." He would drop the pebble into the very center of the reflected world. Plink. The pebble would break the surface. Ripple after perfect, expanding ring would radiate out, distorting the reflection, shattering the sky, blurring the face into abstraction. "This," the master would say, "is grief. This is fear. This is the shock of loss. It disturbs the perfect, still surface of your mind. It makes the familiar world look broken, unrecognizable." They would watch in silence as the ripples traveled to the edges of the pond, bounced back, interacted with each other, creating complex, chaotic patterns. It could take several minutes. But watch now, what happens to the ripples? Slowly, inevitably, the water would begin to settle. The chaotic cross patterns would dissolve. The ripples would fade, becoming faint, then imperceptible. And finally, the water would return to glassy stillness. The reflection of the sky, the trees, the face, would return, clear, calm, and utterly unchanged beneath the temporary disturbance. Your true nature, the master taught, is like this water, deep, clear, essentially still. Thoughts, fears, tears, gut-wrenching grief, they are like ripples. They pass through. They are real, they are powerful, they change the surface view completely. But they do not define the depth. They do not alter the fundamental nature of the water. When you learn to identify with the depth, with the stillness beneath all movement, fear loses its ultimate power over you. Tears may come, and they should, for they are the honest ripple of love. But they do not, and cannot, shake who you are at your very core. The Buddha taught mindfulness of the unconditioned, the deathless element, Amitabhatu, within us. With patient practice, we learn to rest in that still, deep ground of being, even as life's surface ripples with the inevitable changes and losses. We feel the ripples, but we know ourselves as the pond. The rock in the stream. A man plagued by anxiety about death went to sit by a fast-moving stream in the forest. He watched the water rush and foam around a large, moss-covered rock in the middle of the current. The rock never moved, steadfast, while the water, sometimes clear, sometimes full of leaves and debris, flowed ceaselessly around it. After a long time, a monk found him there. "What do you see?" the monk asked. The man said, "I don't know if I am the rock, enduring but isolated, or the water, flowing but insubstantial." The monk sat beside him. "You are neither," he said. You are the awareness that watches both. The rock is a symbol of your unchanging nature, the silent witness, the Buddha nature that is unmoved by circumstance. The water is your changing life, thoughts, feelings, experiences, the birth and death of moments. Fear and tears are like the splash against the rock, loud, dramatic, attention-grabbing for a moment, but then gone, absorbed back into the flow. But the rock remains. The witness remains. He continued, your practice is to find the rock within. Find the unwavering witness. When fear comes, feel the splash, but know yourself as the rock that feels it without being eroded by it. When tears come, feel the flow of emotion, but know yourself as the steady bank that contains it, allows it, but is not swept away. Calm is not the absence of waves. It is the deep, solid knowing that you are the ocean floor, not the storm on the surface. The spacious sky. A woman named Clara, after the sudden loss of her partner, was engulfed by grief. It was physical, a heavy, dark mass in her chest. She went to a meditation teacher and gasped, the pain is so heavy. It fills my whole world. There is no room for anything else. I cannot breathe around it. The teacher took her outside that night to an open field. Look up, he said. What do you see? Through her tears, Clara said, stars. The moon. Vast, dark, empty space. Is the sky bothered by the clouds that pass through it? He asked. Is the spaciousness diminished by a thunderstorm? Does the sky try to push the clouds away? No, the sky just holds them. They pass. Your mind, your fundamental awareness, is like this sky, he said gently. The grief is a weather system, dense, dark, real, and it brings a torrential rain of tears. But it is not the sky. You are the sky. The practice is not to fight the storm, but to feel the space around the pain. The awareness that holds the feeling. Feel the grief, yes. And simultaneously, feel the vast, silent awareness in which the grief is happening. The pain may not vanish quickly, but it will stop being the whole of your experience. You will begin to remember the stars behind the clouds. The grief becomes content within your consciousness, not the definition of it. Keeping calm in the face of mortality is remembering your inherent, boundless spaciousness. Feelings, even devastating ones, are temporary weather patterns in the climate of a life. You are the climate itself. The vast, clear, open sky of consciousness that can hold any weather, ultimately undisturbed in its fundamental nature. The untouched bell. In the temple's bell tower, a novice was instructed to ring the great bell for the evening ceremony. He swung the log with all his might, creating a deafening, chaotic clang that hurt the ears. The master came up, took the log, and struck the bell with a precise, focused tap. A clear, pure, deep tone bloomed, filling the valley with peace. The first was noise, born of fear and force, the master said. The second was sound, born of calm and precision. Your mind is the bell. The striker is circumstance. If you are tense, fearful, braced for impact, life and death will strike you and create noise, suffering, anxiety, turmoil. If you can find a place of inner calm, of acceptance, the same strike will produce a clear, resonant tone, an experience that, while powerful, is harmonious and meaningful. The bell does not control the striker. It only controls its own resonance. Your task is not to stop the striker of death, but to cultivate such inner stillness that when it strikes, your life resonates with a tone of peace, not a clang of fear. What is the final goal? The mountain peak. A group of dedicated climbers once set out to reach the summit of a sacred mountain known as Vulture's Peak. Legend said that from its pinnacle, one could see the true nature of life and death, and that a great sage had attained enlightenment there. The journey was arduous: vertical rock faces, treacherous ice, thin air that burned the lungs. Among them were two friends, Kale and Mio. Kale was fiercely goal-oriented. He focused only on the peak, pushing relentlessly upward, ignoring his burning muscles, brushing off offers to rest or share water. "The peak is all that matters," he'd gasp. His mind was a mantra of summit, summit, summit. Mio, while just as determined, climbed differently. She paused to strap a companion's loose boot. She stopped to drink deeply from a glacial spring, savoring its cold purity. She noticed tiny, bright flowers clinging to life in a rock crevice and pointed them out to others. She felt the sun on her face and the punishing wind with equal curiosity. After days of struggle, both finally hauled themselves onto the narrow summit. The view was indeed staggering: a sea of clouds below, other peaks like islands, the world laid out in silent majesty. Kale stood, hands on hips, breathing hard. He looked around, and a profound emptiness settled on him. "Is this all?" he muttered, disappointment sour in his mouth. "It's just a view. A cold, windy place." Mio, however, sat down quietly. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the sun and wind, then opened them. A deep, quiet joy filled her. She wasn't looking at the view, she felt part of it. The struggle, the springs, the flowers, the camaraderie, it was all present in this moment of arrival. An elder guide, who had made the climb countless times, spoke softly to the group. "The final goal is not to reach the peak. The final goal is to realize there is no peak separate from the path. Life and death are not two different mountains, they are one continuous range. The goal is wholeness. It is awakening to the truth that you are already home, already complete, already an intrinsic part of the breathtaking view you sought. The summit is just a place that lets you see the journey you are already on, with new eyes." In Buddhism, the final goal is nirvana, not a celestial place you go to after death, but a state of freedom, liberation, and peace realized in this very life. It is the cessation, nirodha, of the suffering that comes from craving and ignorance. It is the end of delusion, the realization of non-separation. It is not something death gives you. It is something you cultivate and realize while alive, and that very realization utterly transforms your relationship with death. Death becomes just another part of the landscape, not the feared end of the road. The already arrived. A seeker named Elian traveled across continents, enduring great hardship, to find the cave of a fabled sage. He finally found the old man sitting in front of a simple fire. Elian threw himself on the ground. "Venerable One, I have come so far. When will I reach enlightenment? What must I do? What arduous practice must I begin?" The sage said nothing. He picked up a teapot and poured tea into Elian's offered cup. He poured and poured. The tea filled the cup, overflowed, spilled over the rim, and pooled on the stone floor. "Master!" Elian cried, "the cup is full. It overflows. Stop." The sage set the pot down. He looked at Elian with infinite patience. "You are like this cup, too full of ideas of seeking, of becoming, of future attainment, to realize you have already arrived. The final goal is not ahead of you on a timeline. It is within you, here, now, beneath the clutter of your striving. Death does not bring it closer. Life does not take it away. It simply is. Your frantic searching, your fear of death, your desire for spiritual achievement, these are the tea overflowing. They are the only things hiding the empty cup of your true nature from you. Empty your cup. The goal is not achievement, it is recognition. It is the profound, quiet understanding that what you seek, peace, wholeness, unconditional love, union, is not the reward at the end of the long path of life, but the very ground upon which you have been walking all along. Death, then, is not the gateway to this goal, but simply another step on the ground that is already, and always has been, holy. The Mirror Lake. High in the Himalayas was a lake so still, so perfectly calibrated, that it acted as a flawless mirror. People called it Mirror Lake and considered it sacred. Pilgrims would come, look into its surface, and see the majestic, snow-capped peaks and the vast sky reflected with such precision it was disorienting. Was the world above or below? A fervent seeker named Arjun made the difficult trek. He asked the local hermit, "Where is the sacred view? I have come to see it." The hermit pointed to the lake. Arjun strode to the shore and looked in. He saw the stunning reflection. "This is just a copy," he exclaimed, disappointed. "A reflection. I want to see the real mountains, the true sky. This is an illusion." Frustrated, he turned to leave and his foot caught on a root. He stumbled forward and plunged face first into the freezing water. The shock was electric. He spluttered to the surface, gasping, wiping water from his eyes. The perfect mirror was gone, shattered into a million dancing ripples. And for the first time, with the reflection broken, he lifted his gaze from the water and looked around. He saw the actual, monumental, breathtaking mountains towering around him, raw and mighty. He saw the vast, open, endless sky above, deep and blue. The reality was infinitely more majestic, more immediate, more real than the perfect reflection had ever been. The hermit helped him out, wrapping him in a dry blanket. The final goal, the hermit said, is not the perfect, static reflection, the ideal image of peace, enlightenment, or an afterlife. The final goal is the shattering of the reflection so you can see the reality directly. We spend our lives staring at the reflection of our thoughts, our self-image, our concepts of death and life. Sometimes it takes a great disturbance, like the contemplation of mortality, like a great loss. To break the mirror of illusion and force us to look up and see the true, living, immediate landscape that was always here. Death, contemplated deeply, can be that plunge into the icy water. It breaks the reflective surface of our self-centered narrative and allows us, perhaps for the first time, to see the staggering reality of which we are an inseparable part. The completed circle. A master calligrapher was teaching his final student. The student practiced the Enso. The Zen circle drawn in one, fluid, uninhibited breath. He drew hundreds, but always, at the moment of completion where the brush met the starting point, he would hesitate, fear a flaw, and the circle would have a clumsy join. "I can't complete it perfectly," he lamented. The master took the brush. "Watch." He breathed in, poised the brush, and in one continuous, confident motion, swept it around. The circle was not geometrically perfect. The line varied in thickness. And where it ended, it did not quite meet the beginning, there was a tiny, deliberate gap. "But, it's not closed," the student said. "It is complete," the master replied. "The circle is not in the ink. The circle is in the intention, the energy, the wholeness of the gesture. The gap is not an imperfection, it is the gate. It is the opening through which the spirit of the circle flows into the world, and the world flows into it. Your life is this circle. You are obsessed with closing it perfectly, sealing it off. But a life perfectly sealed is a life isolated. The final goal is to make the gesture so whole, so full of heart, that the point of completion is not a sealed end, but an open gate, an offering. The goal is to live with such integrity that your death is not a period, but a graceful, open parenthesis, an invitation for the love and meaning you generated to continue flowing into the world. Why death happens. The seasons of the garden. In the temple garden where the old master Hataka once taught, an elderly gardener named Fumi now tended the plants. She moved with the slow, deliberate grace of one who listens to the earth. Students, watching cherry blossoms fall, would ask her, "Fumi-san, why must the beautiful flowers die? Why must the strong leaves fall? It seems so cruel." Fumi never rushed her answer. She would lead them on a walk through the year. In spring, she showed them the cherry blossoms, explosions of joyous pink against a clear blue sky, a celebration of ephemeral beauty. In summer, she showed the deep green leaves, full of photosynthesis and shade. In autumn, she showed those same leaves turning fiery red and gold, then releasing, swirling to the ground. In winter, she showed the bare, silent branches, stark against the gray sky, resting. "Death happens," Fumi would say, kneeling to lift a handful of the rich, dark, fragrant soil, because life happens. They are not opposites, they are partners. A seed cannot sprout unless the fruit around it falls and rots. A branch cannot make new buds unless the old leaves release their grip. The garden needs both, the blooming and the resting, to thrive. Death is not life's enemy. It is part of life's essential, intelligent cycle. It makes renewal, growth, and change possible. Without it, there would be only stagnation, an eternal, crowded spring with no room for new flowers. She let the soil trickle through her fingers. This is where life and death meet and embrace. This is the transformation chamber. Nothing is wasted. The fallen blossom, the crumbled leaf, they are recycled into the nutrients for the next bloom. Everything is food for something else in the great feast of existence. The Buddha taught the law of anicca: all conditioned things are impermanent. Everything that arises, that has a beginning, will also have an end. This is not a tragedy or a flaw, it is the fundamental nature of the phenomenal world. Death happens because change is the inescapable condition of all compounded things. It is the engine that allows for new life, new stories, new possibilities. It is the universe's way of saying, this form has served its purpose. Now let's try a new one. The forest fire. A devastating forest fire once raged across a mountainside beloved by the monks. For days, the sky was orange with smoke, and the air tasted of ash. After it passed, a young student and the master went to see the damage. The sight was heartbreaking. A blackened, skeletal landscape, smoldering stumps, the silence of death. The student wept. It's all destroyed. Centuries of growth, gone. The master placed a hand on his shoulder. Come back with me in 1 year, was all he said. The student, heavy with grief, did not understand. But a year later, the master reminded him, and they returned to the same mountainside. The student gasped. The forest was transformed. Lush green ferns and fireweed covered the ground in a thick carpet. Bright wildflowers bloomed in profusion. Young saplings, pine, aspen, oak, were pushing vigorously through the nutrient-rich ash. The air buzzed with insects and birdsong. It was more vibrant, more alive, than the old, dense forest had been. The fire did not destroy the forest, the master said softly. It renewed it. It cleared the thick, choking undergrowth. It released seeds from pine cones that need intense heat to open. It returned minerals locked in old wood back to the soil. Death, this dramatic, seemingly catastrophic death, was nature's way of making room for rebirth, for stronger, more diverse growth. Without periodic fires, the old forest becomes overcrowded, weak, susceptible to disease, and stagnant. It cannot renew itself. Death happens because it is the necessary, periodic fire that clears the old growth of a single life, making space in the delicate, interconnected ecosystem of existence for new forms to rise, for new consciousness to blossom. It is a cosmic pruning. What looks like an ending from the perspective of the individual tree is a vital act of forest management from the perspective of the whole. The story of the worn-out path. Between two thriving villages ran a beautiful, meandering path through a wildflower meadow. Over centuries, so many feet, of travelers, traders, lovers, children, walked it that the path wore down into a deep, muddy trench. In the rainy season, it became a miserable, slippery stream. Walking it was a chore. The village elders conferred. Instead of paving over the old trench, they made a simple decree: let the old path rest. They began to walk a new route, just a few feet to the side, on the untouched grass. Within a single season, new, gentle path formed on the fresh turf, pleasant and dry. Meanwhile, the old trench, no longer trampled, slowly began to heal. Grass seeds found purchase. Wildflowers, clover, daisies, poppies, sprang up. Within a few years, the old trench had transformed into a raised, flowering ridge, a haven for butterflies and bees, a beautiful landmark between the villages. An elder, watching children play on the flower ridge, observed, the old path was not destroyed. It was retired. It had served its purpose magnificently, carrying generations, and was allowed to transform into something new, something that now gives beauty and life. Death is the retirement of a well-worn path, the particular, habitual pattern of a single life. The walking of consciousness continues, just on a new, fresh route. The universe is an endless meadow of potential, and it needs both the active paths and the retired, flowering ones to be whole. Death happens not as a failure or a punishment, but as a compassionate retirement of one particular pattern, so that the creative energy of life can manifest in a new pattern, a new expression. The walking never stops, only the particular footprint changes. The sculptor's marble. A sculptor had a single, perfect block of Carrara marble. He spent years carving an angel of exquisite beauty from it. Chips and dust fell away. When it was done, a visitor mourned the lost marble. All that beautiful stone, gone. Reduced to rubble. The sculptor gestured to the statue, luminous in the light. The marble is not gone. It has simply changed its relationship to space. Before, the angel was inside the block, trapped. My work was not to create the angel, but to remove the excess stone that hid it. The form of the angel was always the potential of the marble. Death is like the removal of the final bits of stone. It is not the destruction of the material, but the full revelation of the form that was implicit within it all along. The chips that fall away, the body, the personality, are just the excess that concealed the essential shape of the soul. What you call death is the moment the sculpture stands clear, fully revealed, no longer hidden by the raw material of earthly life. Death, from this angle, is not a diminishing but an unveiling. The process of living is the sculpting. Death is the step back to see the completed work, freed from the block. What is the real purpose of death? The story of the empty cup. A revered tea master, knowing his time was short, invited his closest students for a final, intimate ceremony. He placed before each of them a beautiful, hand-thrown cup. He then filled each cup to the very brim with fragrant, steaming green tea. The students bowed, expecting a lesson on mindfulness. But the master did not stop. He picked up the pot again and began to pour more tea into the already full cups. The tea overflowed, streaming over the rims, across the fine wooden table, and onto the floor. "Master," cried one student, unable to stay silent. "Stop. The cup is already full. It can hold no more." The tea master set the pot down gently. He looked at each of their confused faces. "Yes," he said, his voice quiet but clear. "The cup is full. And so it cannot receive anything new. Not a drop. So it is with a life that never ends, a consciousness that never empties. If this cup were eternally full of yesterday's tea, it could never taste today's fresh brew. It would become stagnant, a museum piece. He wiped the rim of his own cup. Death is the emptying of the cup. It is the great space maker. It clears the old to allow the new. It is not an erasure, but a sacred reset. A necessary part of the cosmic rhythm of filling and emptying, breathing in and breathing out. Without death, there is no room for rebirth, in whatever astonishing form that rebirth may take. There is no room for new lessons, new loves, new ways of being. In Zen, there is a potent saying, "Die before you die, so that when you die, you will not die." This is the ultimate teaching on the purpose of death. It means, release your attachments now. Let go of your egoic clinging now. Empty your cup of old grievances, fixed identities, and fear now, in this very moment. Practice non-attachment. Then, when physical death comes, it is merely a change of clothes, a final sigh of release, not a catastrophic end, but a seamless transition. You have already done the essential dying, the dying to the small self. The purpose of physical death is to complete that process, to make the space for whatever unimaginable chapter comes next in the soul's journey. The story of the full library. Imagine the universe as a great, infinite library. Each lived experience, each consciousness, adds a new book to its shelves. Now, imagine if this library never removed any books. Every thought, every fleeting feeling, every life story remained forever, crammed onto the shelves. New books would have nowhere to go. The aisles would become impassable. The library would become a chaotic, stagnant tomb of words, impossible to navigate or appreciate. Death is the librarian of this cosmic library. It is not a vengeful destroyer burning books. It is a wise, compassionate curator. It gently removes volumes that have been fully read, whose stories are complete, to make space on the shelves for new stories to be written, new wisdom to be recorded. It archives the completed tales in the sacred silence of memory, so that the active shelves of now can hold fresh narratives, new questions, evolving understandings. The purpose of death is curatorial. It is the gentle, necessary management of the infinite story of existence, ensuring the grand narrative continues, evolves, deepens, and never becomes a stagnant, overcrowded room where nothing new can arise. Your life is a volume. Death is the moment it is lovingly placed in the completed section, its essence absorbed, its physical space freed for the next author. The storyteller's last tale. In a small village nestled in a ring of mountains, there was a beloved storyteller named Old Man One. Every night, by the communal fire, he would weave tales of heroes, tricksters, gods, and animals. The villagers lived inside his stories. They were the fabric of their culture, their morality, their dreams. One night, after finishing a particularly moving tale about a river that learned to sing, one closed his eyes and said, "That was my last story. I have told them all." A silence fell, then erupted into protest. "No. You cannot stop. We need your tales. What will we do without your voice?" One smiled, his face a landscape of kindness. "If I never stop," he said, "you will only ever hear my voice, see through my eyes. You will spend your lives listening, forever an audience. You will never discover your own voice. My final tale is this, the silence after I finish. He looked around at every face, young and old. In that silence, you will feel the emptiness. And in that emptiness, you will find your own words. You will begin to tell your own stories, of your day, of your heart, of your ancestors. My ending is the beginning of yours. A story that never ends is a tyranny. A story that ends is a gift, it passes the torch. Old man one passed peacefully in his sleep that night. The next evening, the villagers gathered by the fire. The silence was deep, aching. Then, haltingly, a young woman, who had always been too shy to speak, began. I remember a story my grandmother told me, and she spoke. Then a farmer told of a funny thing his goat had done. Then children began to act out their own adventures. The purpose of death is exactly this, it is the profound, fertile silence after a completed story, a silence so deep and potent that it compels new voices to rise, new tales to begin. It passes the torch of consciousness, of culture, of love. It ensures the story of awareness never ends, even as the individual storytellers come and go. The riverbed. A river flowed mightily for millennia, carving a deep canyon. One year, a great drought came. The river shrank to a trickle, then disappeared entirely, leaving only a dry, rocky riverbed exposed to the sun. People mourned. The river is dead. A geologist shook her head. The river is not dead. It is elsewhere, in the clouds, in the groundwater, in the sea. And look, she said, pointing to the riverbed. We can now see the ancient layers of rock, the history of the earth laid bare. Fossils are revealed. We can walk where only water flowed. The river's absence is not emptiness, it is a revelation. It creates a new space for exploration and understanding. The purpose of the river's death is to show us the bed it carved, the foundation. Then, when the rains return, the river will flow with new appreciation for its own course. The purpose of death is to reveal the ground of being that was always underneath the flow of our individual lives. It creates a space, in the hearts of others, in the collective, for reflection, for understanding the shape of what was carved by that unique current of consciousness. Why go plan for death? The prepared traveler. In a simple seaside village, there were two fishermen, brothers. The elder, Kenta, lived as if he had endless time. His nets had small tears he'd mend tomorrow. His boat had a slow leak he'd patch next week. His home was cluttered, his affairs a tangled mess. Why worry, he'd laugh. The sea is generous, and tomorrow is another day. The younger brother, Ren, lived differently. Each evening, without fail, he inspected and mended his nets. He checked his boat at every low tide, caulking any crack immediately. He kept a lantern with fresh oil ready, and his home was orderly, his will written, his love spoken freely. When a great, unpredicted storm roared in from the deep ocean, the brothers were caught out in their boats. Kenta's net snagged and tore beyond repair in the raging waves. His leaky boat took on water faster than he could bail. He was lost to the sea. Ren, however, secured his gear, trusted his sound vessel, lit his lantern as darkness fell, and rode out the storm. He returned to shore shaken, but alive. The village elder spoke at the memorial for Kenta, "The storm comes for all who sail." This is the nature of the sea. But the prepared traveler is not ruled by fear. He has made peace with the journey by respecting the sea's power. Planning for death is not morbid. It is the deepest wisdom. It is like mending your nets and checking your boat while the sun shines. It allows you to face the storm, when it comes, not with panic, but with the calm of one who is ready. Planning for death means the practical and spiritual work. Putting your material affairs in order so you don't leave a mess for loved ones. Speaking your love and forgiveness now, not in a final gasp. Expressing gratitude daily. Living without procrastination on matters of the heart. It means being ready to set sail when the wind changes definitively, without the agony of regret or the paralysis of panic. You have already said what needed to be said, loved as fully as you could, and sorted your belongings. You are packed lightly, like the pilgrim. The Buddha actively encouraged Maranasati, mindfulness of death, as a supreme spiritual practice. Remembering that life is short, uncertain, and precious has the power to burn away trivial concerns and clarify what truly matters. It inspires us to live with immediate purpose, radical kindness, and vibrant presence. The planner is not obsessed with the end, they are freed by its acknowledgement to live authentically now. The two gardeners. Two gardeners had adjacent plots of land. The first, Eris, planted only spectacular annual flowers, zinnias, poppies, marigolds. They bloomed in a riot of color for one season, then withered and died with the first frost. Every autumn, Eris would weep, mourning the loss of his beautiful, fleeting garden. The second gardener, Sam, planted a mix. He put in perennial bushes and flowering trees that would cycle for decades. He also planted bulbs that would sleep underground and return each spring. And yes, he also planted a few annuals for seasonal joy. He tended, pruned, and planned for succession. When plants died, he felt a gentle poignancy, but also a quiet trust. Eris asked him one tearful fall, "Why are you not sad? Your plants die too." Sam knelt, dividing a clump of iris rhizomes. "I am part of the cycle," he said. "I plan for death by planting for life, for continued life, in many forms." To plan for death is to plant a walnut tree whose shade you know you may never sit under. It is an act of faith in continuity. I mend my nets, I write my will, I share my wisdom with apprentices, I forgive old quarrels, not because I am obsessed with the coming storm, but because I respect the sea of time and trust the next sailors, the next gardeners. My plot is not just for me, it's for the bees, the birds, my grandchildren, and the soil itself. Planning is, at its heart, an act of love, love for those who will remain, and love for the ongoing, mysterious flow of life itself. It is the ultimate gesture of responsibility and care, ensuring your personal departure does not become a destructive storm for others, but rather a well-tended transition in the garden of community. The clean house. There was a woman named Clara, known throughout her neighborhood for her preternatural calm and the serene, welcoming atmosphere of her home. A friend finally asked her secret. Clara smiled. "Every single evening, without fail, I clean my house. I wash the dishes and put them away. I fold the blankets. I straighten the cushions. I wipe the surfaces. I take out the trash. It is a ritual. That's it. Cleaning. It's the why," Clara said. "I do not know if I will wake up tomorrow. None of us do. But if I do not wake up, I will not leave a messy, chaotic house for my family or friends to deal with in their grief. They will walk into order, into peace. More importantly," her eyes twinkled, "if I do wake up. And I have for 12,780 mornings so far. I begin my new day in a clean, orderly, beautiful space. It sets the tone for my mind. Planning for death is my nightly cleaning ritual for my whole life. I tidy my relationships with a kind word or an apology. I tidy my regrets by making amends where I can. I tidy my material things by giving away what I don't need. Then, whether I cross over tonight or live for decades more, I am living, and possibly dying, in a clean house. There is no frantic scrambling, no last-minute mess. Just peace. To plan is to live with order, intention, and grace now. It transforms the weight of mortality into the lightness of present-moment clarity and freedom. A planned death is simply the final, natural step in a well-ordered life. The last note. A great musician was composing his final symphony. He worked on the last movement, but could not find the right final note. He tried a loud, crashing chord. It felt false. A soft, fading note. It felt weak. He was stuck. He fell ill. On his deathbed, he asked for his manuscript. He looked at the last blank measure. He took a pencil and drew a whole rest, a symbol for silence lasting an entire measure. His student was confused. A rest? But master, it ends in silence. The musician smiled. Yes. The silence is not the absence of the music. The silence is part of the music. It is the space that allows the last sound to resonate in the listener's heart. It is the invitation for the audience's own inner music to begin. Planning for death is composing that final rest. It is creating the conditions, through how you live, so that your ending is not a jarring stop, but a resonant silence that feels like a natural, necessary, and even beautiful part of your life's composition. Why we face difficult situations in life, the story of the unpolished jewel. In the vaulted treasury of a great king, there lay a chest of uncut gems, forgotten in a dark corner. During an inventory, a worker found a rough, mud-caked stone about the size of his fist. It was unremarkable, almost ugly. He nearly threw it into the discard pile, but something made him pause. He took it to the court jeweler. The jeweler, an old man with magnifying lenses perched on his forehead, washed the stone and held it to the light. His breath caught. Beneath the crust of dirt and a rough, milky outer layer, he saw a flicker of fire, a hint of profound color. This, he whispered, is no ordinary stone. This has the potential to be the most magnificent jewel in the kingdom. But it is imprisoned. He set to work. The first stage was brutal. He used a coarse, grating wheel to strip away the hard, outer crust. The stone screamed in protest, a high, grinding whine. "This is painful," it seemed to cry. "Why must you scrape me so?" To reach the light, the jeweler murmured, unwavering. Once the crust was gone, a cloudy, flawed crystal was revealed. Next, he used finer and finer grits, polishing each nascent facet with infinite patience. Each stage had its own discomfort, its own friction. The stone endured it all, slowly transforming. Finally, he used a wheel of soft felt and a paste of diamond dust, a final, gentle caress. When he was done, he held it up. The jewel was breathtaking. It was a deep sapphire blue, but from its heart erupted flashes of crimson and violet, a captive storm of light. It was placed in the king's crown, where it caught the sun and scattered rainbows across the throne room. The king addressed his court, holding the crown. "We are all like this jewel when we come into the world. Our true nature, our clarity, our compassion, our innate wisdom, is hidden beneath layers of conditioning, fear, and ignorance. Life's difficulties, illness, loss, betrayal, fear, even the approach of death, are the jeweler's tools. They are the polishing. They remove what hides our true brilliance. They reveal our strength, our resilience, our capacity for love. Without the rubbing, the friction, the occasional painful grinding, we would remain buried in our own dust, a potential never realized, a light never seen. Difficult situations in life are not random punishments, nor are they proof of a cruel universe. They are opportunities for radical polishing. They help us shed the illusions of permanence and separateness. They strengthen our compassion by letting us feel the universal ache. They deepen our wisdom by forcing us to question our assumptions. They are, in essence, preparations for the great transition. The contemplation of death is the finest grit of all. It has the power to polish us to a transparency where we can see clear through ourselves to the underlying reality. The Buddha's first noble truth is the truth of dukkha, often translated as suffering, but closer to unsatisfactoriness, or the inherent stress of conditioned existence. He did not teach this to depress us, but to diagnose the human condition. The purpose of recognizing dukkha is to initiate the seeking for its cause and its cessation. The difficulties are not the path itself, but they are the rugged terrain that makes the path necessary and valuable. They are the guides that point us, often with a sharp finger, toward liberation. The koi in the pond. In the ornamental pond of the peaceful dragon temple, a large, handsome koi fish named Kaido was the pride of the garden. He was used to calm, still water, gentle offerings of crumbs, and admiration. One summer, days of torrential rain filled the pond to overflowing. The overflow channel became a rushing stream, and a strong current swept through Kaido's home. He fought against it with all his might, thrashing, struggling, exhausting himself. He was terrified. This current will dash me against the rocks. It will sweep me away from my home. It is my enemy. An ancient koi, scarred and majestic, rested in a calm eddy behind a rock. He watched Kaido's panic. When the young fish swam near, gasping, the old koi said, "Why do you fight the current so? It is destroying my peace. It is trying to kill me." "Is it?" the old koi mused. "Look. The current brings fresh, oxygen-rich water from the mountains. It carries away the stagnant waste. It stirs up nutrients from the bottom. Without it, our water would become foul, and we would grow weak. The current is not your enemy. It is the lifeblood of the pond. Your struggle is not against the current, but against your own idea of what the pond should be. The struggle strengthens your fins. The fear clears your mind. It prepares you. For one day, if you are strong and wise, you may choose to enter the greater river beyond the outlet, and see worlds this pond cannot imagine. The difficult currents of our lives, financial strain, relationship turmoil, failing health, are not sent to destroy us. They are the flow that keeps our spiritual pond from stagnation. They bring necessary challenges that strengthen our resilience, clarify our priorities, and wash away psychic debris. The ultimate current, the contemplation of death, is the strongest. Facing it directly can clear the scales of our ignorance and denial like nothing else, revealing the powerful swimmer we are meant to be. The clay in the kiln. A young, passionate potter named Sachi was creating her first masterpiece vase. She shaped it with loving hands, carved intricate designs into the soft clay, and beamed with pride. Then came time for the kiln, the great, fiery oven that would harden her work forever. As the temperature began to rise, Sachi pressed her face to the kiln's peephole. She saw her beautiful, delicate vase inside. She heard the clay groan as the heat penetrated. She saw minute cracks appear in the design. "No," she cried to her master. "It's too hot. It's cracking. My beautiful vase is being destroyed. Why must it go through such fire?" The master, her hands themselves shaped by decades of heat, guided her away from the kiln. "Right now," she said calmly, "it is soft clay. Beautiful, but fragile. A careless touch would distort it. The rain would melt it. The fire is not its enemy, Sachi. The fire is what makes it durable. It transforms it from soft potential into hard reality. It makes it capable of holding water, of standing the test of time, of being useful and beautiful for generations. Without the fire, it is only potential. The fire actualizes it." She pointed to a simple, robust tea bowl on a shelf, its glaze shimmering with depth. "That bowl has held tea for 30 years. It has been dropped and chipped. It is more beautiful for it. It went through its fire. Your difficult times, the heat of grief, the firing of illness, the pressure of despair, these are your kiln. They are what transform you from fragile, unformed potential into a resilient, finished vessel, ready to serve a purpose, to hold the tea of experience without crumbling. Death is the final firing, the last and most intense heat that sets the glaze of your soul permanently, making you ready for whatever use comes next in the great wheel of existence." The wandering monk's blistered feet. For 40 years, Monk Tenzin followed the practice of angia, periodic wandering. He walked from village to remote village, carrying only his begging bowl and staff, offering teachings in exchange for food. His path took him over scorching deserts, through torrential monsoon rains, across wind-scoured mountain passes. He faced harsh weather, rejection from suspicious villagers, days of hunger when no one offered alms. In one small, poor hamlet, a farmer, seeing Tenzin's worn sandals and dust-covered robes, asked with pity, "Revered one, why do you choose such a hard life? You could stay in a comfortable temple. This wandering seems like pure suffering." Tenzin sat gratefully on a stump, removing his sandals to tend to fresh blisters. He smiled. "These blisters," he said, pressing a cool leaf to the raw skin, "are among my greatest teachers. They teach me exactly where my limits are in this moment. They teach me to walk with more mindfulness, to place each foot with care. The wind that chills me to the bone teaches me directly about impermanence. The cold arises, it stays a while, it passes. The hunger, when it comes, teaches me a gratitude for a single bowl of plain rice that a feast in a palace could never inspire." He looked at the farmer, his eyes clear. "Difficulty is not my punishment, it is my curriculum. Each hardship is a chapter in the book of understanding. Death will be my final examination, the comprehensive test of everything I have learned about non-attachment, courage, compassion, and the nature of this self. I do not seek out suffering, but I do not flee from it when it comes on the path. It is the chisel that sculpts my understanding. When death comes, I hope to greet it not as a terrifying stranger, but as an old, stern, and ultimately kind teacher whose final lesson is the deepest of all. Our difficult situations are the chapters of our unavoidable spiritual education. They are not elective courses. Death is the final, open-book exam that tests our mastery of the core subject, letting go. The daily quizzes, the small disappointments, irritations, and losses, prepare us for the final. The last lesson of the bonsai. For over 8 decades, the bonsai master, Hoshi, tended a single, ancient white pine. It was no taller than his forearm, yet it conveyed the essence of a mighty tree weathering centuries on a cliff. Its trunk was twisted and gnarled. Its branches were shaped by wire, cut back countless times. It was a masterpiece of constrained beauty. On his deathbed, Hoshi asked his students to bring the bonsai to his bedside. They did, placing it where the last of the evening light could touch it. The students wept silently, for their master and for the tree they feared would not survive him. Hoshi's voice was a faint whisper. "Do you see it? Truly see it? We see your life's work, Master," one said. "No," Hoshi breathed. "Look closer. See the curve here, where the trunk turns away from an imagined wind? That bend was formed by a wire I placed after my daughter died. The pain was so sharp, I shaped the tree's pain to match my own. This bare, graceful branch here, I revealed at the year I realized the futility of fame. Each pruning, each wire, each moment of restraint, they were not just techniques. They were my joys, my sorrows, my insights, given form." He paused, gathering strength. "My life, my pains, my losses, they were the wire that shaped me. They were the pruning that gave me this form you see now, an old man at peace. Do not mourn the shaping. Do not weep for the cuts. Rejoice in the form that emerged. The difficulties were the loving, sometimes painful, hands of life itself, guiding me toward this moment of completion. I am this bonsai. And it is me. And we are both beautiful for the shaping. Our struggles are the careful, sometimes painful, hands of the great artisan. They are not random cruelty. They are the artisanal tools of soul-making. The wire of loss shapes our compassion. The pruning of failure reveals our true direction. The constraint of mortality defines the precious, fleeting beauty of our form. We are not damaged by our difficulties, we are designed by them. Weaving the threads together, the dawn at Monk's Moon Temple. The final story has been told. The last parable has settled into the quiet space of the hall. Look around you now, in your mind's eye. We are back in Monk's Moon Temple. The night we entered together, so many stories ago, has deepened and now is beginning to soften. Through the high, open windows, the inky blackness is fading to a deep indigo. The stars are beginning to retreat. A single, bold bird calls out from the ancient pine, a question, or perhaps an announcement. The air in the temple is cool and still, smelling of old wood, extinguished lamp oil, and the faint, clean scent of dawn approaching from the distant sea. Our narrator, the old monk, has not moved from his cushion. His face, lit by the first subtle gray light, is serene. He looks out at you, the lone seeker who has sat through this long night of teaching, or the countless listeners joined in spirit. A slow, deep smile touches his lips. It is a smile of shared understanding, of a journey completed together. He speaks again, his voice now hoarse with the night's use, but imbued with a new, gentle strength. And so, the stories circle back to the silence from which they arose. The lanterns have risen, the river has flowed to the sea, the clay has returned to the earth, the last note has faded into the rest. We have sat with the great mystery. Not to solve it, for it is not a riddle to be solved. But to befriend it. To remove its mask of terror and see its true face, the face of nature, of change, of profound continuity. Let us take one final, silent journey together. Close your eyes gently, if you wish. Feel your breath. In and out. The same breath that has been with you all this while. Now, imagine you are holding two lamps. In your left hand, you hold a lamp of finely wrought gold, beautiful and intricate. This is the lamp of your life, your individual story, your loves, your accomplishments, your unique light. It is precious. It has illuminated your path and warmed your hands. You have tended it with great care. In your right hand, you hold a second lamp. This one is made of simple, unadorned clay. It is humble, almost plain. But its flame is vast and steady, and its light is not yellow, but a clear, colorless radiance. This is the lamp of life itself, the universal consciousness, the unborn, undying awareness, the ocean of being of which you are a wave. For most of your journey, you have seen only by the light of the golden lamp. You thought it was the only source of light. You feared its eventual extinguishing above all things. Tonight, You have been given a gift, you have seen the clay lamp. You have felt its steady, unwavering light. You realize now that the golden lamp was always lit from the clay lamp. Its fuel came from the great source. Its beauty was a reflection of the primal light. Now, see yourself slowly, peacefully, lowering the golden lamp. You place it gently on the ground before you. You honor it. You give thanks for its light, for the path it showed you. You do not blow it out. You simply set it down, its flame still burning brightly. And now, you raise the clay lamp. You bring it close to your heart. You realize this light has always been within you. It is what allowed you to see the golden lamp in the first place. It is the witness of all your fears and all your joys. This light does not fear the dimming of the golden lamp, for it is the source of all light. It is the deathless element. Feel this. You are not abandoning your life. You are placing it in its proper perspective, as a beautiful, temporary expression of the eternal light you carry in your very core. This is the understanding. This is the peace. When the time comes for the golden lamp to naturally exhaust its fuel and go out, you will not be left in darkness. You will be being, the primordial clay lamp. The light will not have changed. Only its most temporary container will have transformed. You are safe. You have always been safe. You are not a flame afraid of the wind. You are the space in which wind and flame play. You are not the dancer fearing the end of the dance. You are the dance floor, silent and supportive, upon which infinite dances can arise and subside. Breathe this in. Let this knowing settle deeper than thought, into the marrow of your bones, into the quiet space between your heartbeats. A long, peaceful silence is held here, punctuated only by the growing chorus of dawn birds. The night is over. The teachings are not a burden to carry, but seeds to water with your own living. Carry them lightly. Remember the river, always returning to the ocean. Remember the nightingale, singing only when free. Remember the unpolished jewel, made brilliant by friction. Remember the empty cup, making space for grace. Remember the two lamps. Go now into your day, into your life. Live with courage. Love with abandon. Forgive with generosity. Create with joy. Tend to your golden lamp with care and gratitude, but never forget the clay lamp in your other hand, the one whose light you can never lose. And when your own moment of transformation approaches, may you meet it with the quiet recognition of a traveler returning home after a long, rich, and beautiful journey. May you set down the golden lamp with a sigh of completion, and step forward, effortlessly, into the boundless light you always were. Thank you for sharing this sacred night at Monk's Moon Temple. The dawn has come. The path is bright before you. Go in peace. Live in peace. Rest in peace. Good morning.